This is a 2012 Hyundai Santa Fe. This car has started showing some strange electrical symptoms, namely when I shift out of park and into reverse with the engine running like I'm about to do. I hope you just heard these multiple repeats of the lock-unlock cycle. I also noticed that when we use the fob to lock the door, all doors lock except for this driver door. It remains unlocked. This is also true when I use the lock button on the armrest. The driver side door has remained unlocked. All other doors have locked. Now if I lock this door manually, then use the button, it remained locked. This is the unlock position with the red button showing. The other thing is that if I use the lock button repeatedly, there is no more beep confirmation. However, if I lock this driver door manually, then close the door and use the clicker, I did get the beep confirmation. So these symptoms are all connected, and what they point to, and we know from experience, is that this door lock actuator that is inside the door right here has gone bad. And this is something that happens frequently on Hyundais, and they all exhibit similar symptoms when it happens, namely because the door lock actuators share circuits in the power distribution module. Then when one of them goes bad, then one or more of the others will start to act up at the same time. So the repair for this vehicle is to replace this door lock actuator right here, and I'm going to show you how. On this car, it is a rather involved process, and it's because of the type of the window regulator, which is a whole panel regulator, and because of the connection between the door lock actuator and the door handle. So the door handle has to be removed and disconnected in order to replace the door lock actuator. So please follow along, I'll show you every single step. This is the part that I'm going to use for this repair, and I'm going to provide you with a link in the video description. I got this on the greatest river on earth. Here's what it looks like outside of the packaging. Now the OEM version of this, the real Hyundai door lock actuator, costs upwards of $250 and was not able to find any discounted sellers for the authentic part. So I went with this replica Chinese made that costs only a fraction, a relatively small fraction of what the original costs. We need to start by removing this entire door panel. Now, one thing that is unique to Hyundais and Kias is that this switch that just pops off on many other cars does not pop off. So don't even try to pop it off. It is screwed into the door panel from the inside. The only way that you can separate it is to undo about 6 or 8 little screws, fasteners, that screw it in to the door panel. So I'm going to leave this switch alone. I'm going to start by undoing this little screw here, this behind the interior door handle. I popped off the cover, and as you can see, it has a Phillips head. This door panel has a few retainer screws. There's one right here underneath this cover. You can pry this cover off and undo the screw. Then there's one more down here in the corner of the door. It has no cover. And then there's one more underneath this cover right here. Here's the little cover that goes over this screw, and these little covers, they want nothing more than to fly off and disappear when you take them off, so just be careful. Here is what this one looks like, and it just comes out pretty easily. This just pops right off. Then you can disconnect its wiring if you want. After you unscrew this interior door handle bezel, you can just slide it out. With everything unfastened, you want to pop this interior panel out of the door, and there's a little position here where you can insert a pry tool. And be warned, you have to pry very hard to get this to move. And I've rolled down the window to make this removal easier, because with the window up, this does not really want to move. Now looking on the inside, you can see the screws that I was talking about for the door switch. And you can see some of the other connectors. This is the courtesy light, and these are the connectors for the switch. So we just want to disconnect everything and get the switch out of the way. These connectors for the door switch can be a little bit stubborn. You just have to press down firmly on the tab and then use a little screwdriver or something to pry it out by the edges. So we're just now getting to the good part. This is our window regulator. It's all one piece, one panel. These are the connector cables that go from the actuator to the door handle, and the actuator is in behind here. So this entire regulator panel has to come out. First I'm going to take this interior door handle off, and it just has 3 Phillips head screws here, here, and let's see, where's the third one? Up here. So with this off, we want to disconnect the cables from the back. And to disconnect the cables, first you pop out the cable cover from these slots. You just pop these out, and then you can free the lock balls from the slots that they're lodged in. Now remember, when you go to reassemble these, that the cables do cross. Before disconnecting everything, I lowered the window down to where these retainer bolts line up with the holes, access holes. I used 10mm socket to loosen these bolts, and I'm going to pull the window back up. So I just give those bolts a few turns, then I can pull the window up, and I hold it up using painter's tape. Before proceeding any further, I'm going to disconnect all the electrical that I can get to easily. And I'm also going to loosen up all the grommets. I'm going to do this while the regulator is still fixed in place. And here my connectors are all free, except for the one that goes inside the door. I'm also removing the window motor, and it's held on with 3 Torx 20 fasteners. 1, 2, 3. Next I'm going to unfasten all of these 10mm hex bolts all around the periphery of the regulator. At that point, the entire assembly can be shimmied out, and it just has these 3 plastic barbs that fit in to the side of the door lock actuator. And if you just pull in the forward direction this way, these will come out, and then this will drop right out. And of course, now you have to disconnect this electrical connector for the door lock actuator. I've set it to the side with the interior door panel. Now finally we get to the door lock actuator, and it's back there. It's connected to the exterior door handle. So both the exterior handle and the door lock actuator have to come off at the same time. We're going to start with these 3 Torx screws. They're Torx 30. Next you have a little plastic cover right here that gets pried off. Inside the cover is the retaining bolt that can be loosened with a Phillips head screwdriver. Use a needle nose and pull this bolt back all the way after you loosen it. Then you simply put the key in the lock, turn it, and pull this out. The whole thing comes right out. Now this handle will pull back and come out. And we have this Phillips head screw right here that we unfasten. And with that screw out, the retainer for the door handle comes loose, and this entire thing comes out of one piece, like this. This is our first opportunity to compare the old with the new outside of the car. They do look the same in every respect. The cables are the right length, they have the right termination. Let's complete the disassembly. This door handle retainer, the yellow thing, is clipped in to this piece of plastic here, right here, with a tab on top and another one like it on the bottom. So we just use a small screwdriver and pry these apart. That comes right apart. Now we want to get to this lock ball right here. So we flip this over. We want to free the cable end from the frame. There, that is free. Now the lock ball can come right out. Now this plastic armature can be popped off from the actuator, and we'll move it to the new actuator. This outside door handle has registration pins that position it correctly, here and here, and then here and here. And the fasteners for the actuator can be started, then tightened up. Next, you see that big gold lever, or it's a counterweight. If you pull that back with your finger from the inside, then you can go on the outside and slip the door handle in. So that lever must be pulled out so that you have door handle function, otherwise it's not engaging anything. And if you peer in through here, you see the slot where the paddle tip of this door lock must engage. And once this is in, this bolt right here can be tightened back up. I always test the lock mechanism using a screwdriver to push the latch into the closed position. And then I test with the key in the door handle to make sure that it's opening correctly. Because the last thing I want to do is close the door and not have it unlock and open. You know, complete the reassembly. It's all the reverse of what you saw in the first part of this video. This is all back on. And the tricky bit here is, remember those 3 barbs that I show you that clip in to the door lock actuator? Well, the real trick is just lining them up without having any access, and you just slip them in. They slide right in and they lock up. Now we're all done. When I use the key fob to lock twice, I get a beep confirmation. Everything is back to normal. My door locks work. And my gear lever just locks, unlocks, then locks as soon as I put it in motion. This is normal behavior. By the way, did I tell you I installed a backup camera on this car, and that'll be featured in another video. Stay tuned.